9mm hook and lime brand Vaness Choice in Fisherman and Dusty Purple. We begin with purple, and I'll leave the first tail quite short because I will crochet over it in the first round. So we chain 4 and we join with the slip stitch to the first chain to form a ring, and now we can twist the tail. First round is chain 3 and you crochet over the tail and make 2 double crochets into the ring, chain 1 and 3 double crochets into the ring, and repeat 2 more times, so you have 4 clusters. At the end of the round we join with a single crochet to the top of chain 3, and I'm inserting the hook through both loops, and at this point I'm changing color to Fisherman and I'm using the no tails method that I developed. Round 2 is chain 3, 2 double crochets in the same space, chain 1 and 3 double crochets in the same space, and we make 3 double crochets, chain 1 and 3 double crochets in the next space and every space, and join with a slip stitch to the top of chain 3, again through both loops. Round 3 is chain 1 and I'm turning now to face the back, and I need to make a single crochet in the same stitch. So the same stitch is this. This is the top of chain 3, and these are the other 2 posts in the cluster, and this is the next cluster with 3 posts. So the same stitch, you can insert the hook either here or here, it doesn't matter, it's the same stitch. So single crochet in the same stitch, and now we're on to these 3 top of the posts. So we are making a single crochet in each stitch, and when we come to the corner we make a double crochet 5 together in the chain 1. So I'm inserting the hook through both loops so that my bobble is held tighter rather than inserting the hook in the space, for example. So I'm making 5 partial double crochets, and I'm yarning over and pulling the yarn through all of the loops on the hook. So that's my bobble in a corner. So in this round we'll be placing bobbles in the corner, and again we are on to these 3 in the top of the cluster. So we make single crochet in those 3 and the next 3, so basically in every stitch except for the corners. So again, make a bobble in the corner and finish the round. So to complete the round, you make your last single crochet in the middle post of this cluster, and then you join to the top of, basically join to the first single crochet again through both loops with a slip stitch. And round 4 is chain 3, and we're turning to face the front again. And now we are treating these spaces from 2 rounds ago as our usual granny spaces. So we're making 2 more double crochets in the same space, in the space below. the stitch spikes a little bit, but it's basically your granny stitch over an extended granny cluster. And when it comes to the corner, we are locating our corner stitch, so the bobble, and we're making 3 double crochets, chain 1 and 3 double crochets in the corner stitch. And again, we are making 3 double crochets in this space in between the corners, and the same in the corner as before, and finish the round. And again, join with a slip stitch to the top of chain 3. I insert my hook again through both loops. So in 2 rounds ago we made bobbles in the corners, and in this next round we'll be making bobbles midway, halfway through the row. So round 5 is chain 1 and turn to face the back and single crochet in the same stitch. And because we've passed the middle point for this row, which would be in the middle of the middle cluster, we are simply making single crochets in every stitch, and we're making 3 single crochets in the corner chain 1 stitch, again inserting the hook through both loops. And now we will be making single crochets in every stitch until we reach the middle row point. So the middle row stitch is in the middle of the central cluster. We have 3 clusters in the row, and this is our middle row stitch. So we're making a bobble, double crochet 5 together in that stitch. And we're resuming back to making single crochets in every stitch and 3 single crochets in the corners and bobbles in the middle row stitches, and finish the round. So we finish round 6 with a bobble in the last stitch. And once you make your bobble, we join with a slip stitch to the first single crochet. And round 6 is chain 3, and now we're facing the front, and we have our diamond bobble, the diamond shape created out of the bobbles, and we make 2 double crochets in the space below from 2 rows ago, 3 double crochets in the next space, and we have this corner space here, so we're making 3 double crochets, chain 1 and 3 double crochets in this corner space. And finish the round by making 3 double crochets in spaces like these before and after the bobble, and same sequence as before in the corner. If this is your first granny square, complete the round and join with a slip stitch to the top of chain 3. And if you're joining your granny squares, I will show you how I join into a 3 granny square point. So I haven't completed 2 full sides, and I've completed 1.5. So now I've made 3 posts in the corner, and I've stopped and removed my hook from the loop, and I'm going into the square I'm joining with and inserting the hook through the chain 1 corner space and picking up the loop and chaining 1 to secure it. Now I'm going to complete the corner by making 3 double crochets in the corner space, and then I remove the hook from the loop and insert the hook through the next space, front to back, next space along, so after the first cluster, and pick up the loop, pull it up and chain 1 and onto the next cluster. Make another 3 double crochets in the next space and remove the hook and insert the hook through the next space along and repeat. Now what happens in the corner? So I've made my first three clusters in the corner and remove the hook, and now I typically join with a diagonal square, so I ignore this corner space of the adjoining square and instead I insert the hook through the corner space of the diagonal square and pick up where that square is, where the chain 1 was, where the actual square is, and not like this. So pick up and chain 1, and I think that creates that nice pull that pinch together, and then I complete the corner and remove the hook from the loop. And now, since I already connected with a corner space, doesn't matter which one, I can now leave all the corner spaces behind and move on to the next space after the corner and continue joining. The last time to join with the adjoining square is when you've made your first corner cluster, removed your hook from the loop, inserted the hook through the corner space of the adjoining square, and picked up the loop and chained 1. Now you can turn the corner and complete your corner with another 3 clusters and join with a slip stitch to the top of chain 3 and fasten off. So after you've done with your squares, it should look like this for most sizes. At size 5x, we'll add another square to the length, so one on each on there, and another row of squares on the sides, and another row of squares at the bottom. And now we're ready to be adding additional rows to the sides for almost all sizes. Except for size extra small, the width is just right for them, and everyone else will have to add a row of granny. So you'll start in the corner, and then you'll, depending on your size, so 1, 2, or up to 9, and you'll add additional width to your cardigan, so along the whole edge on one side and on the other. And then we'll think about armholes. And sizes 2x, 3x, and 4x will add another square to the length here and at the bottom, but not to the width. So size extra small, because you guys don't have to add any rows to the sides here, when you make your large square 3x3 square, and when you start joining additional squares for the front flaps, when you start joining your first square, you can start, when you make a corner here, you can start joining with the square here in the corner, and this will be your armhole. That's the sufficient size for the armhole. And as you join subsequent squares, you can join them with these squares at the back, so you will be done with your side seam. So I'm extending my width and I'm adding a couple of rows because I'm a size medium. I need to add 2 rows here. So I'm making my last row right now, and as you can see, I'm facing the back. This is the shoulder seam. This is where your shoulder will be, and I've passed the middle. So this is also the middle point, the mid row point, and I've passed the mid row point, so I've made over halfway down in my last row. And now I need to think about my armhole. So if the following explanation is too complicated for you or doesn't make sense, don't worry, you can always seam the sides and leave a certain amount of clusters or inches as directed in the pattern, leave unseamed. But if you would like to join as you go and leave a certain amount for your armhole unseamed as you go, so you don't need to go back to it. So for example, if the pattern says a decimal number for your armhole, for example, leave 5.5 clusters unseamed for your armhole, starting from the shoulder seam or from the mid row point. So all it means is that this is now, this shoulder seam is naturally falling in the middle of this cluster, so therefore this is 0.5, and all I need to do now is just make 5 clusters, 1 2 3 4 5. And at this point I know that for my size I'm meant to be joining with the other side, so I'm leaving the same amount of clusters and join for this side too. So this is 0.5 and I need 5 more, 1 2 3 4 5. So this would be the point where I need to join. So I'm actually going to fold inside out because I'm facing the back as I'm making the last row. So now all I need to do is just insert the hook through that space after the last cluster, and chain 1 to secure it. And now as I go down, so this is my armhole, and as I go down to complete the row, I will be joining in between each cluster. So I make a cluster here and I remove the hook from the loop and I join with the next space along and all the way down. So this is a size medium sleeve. And I'll be showing you rows 1 and 2 that you need to repeat to make a certain width before you start the shaping on either side. And also rows 1 and 2 can be used are the same rows that you are that you might need when you're making the side of the cardigan to make it wider, to add to the width. And then I'll show you all the rows you need to make a sleeve for every size, so rows 3 to 7, and I'll be following the steps for the sizes 4x and 5x sleeve. So to begin your sleeve, take your column of 3 squares joined together and face the front and align them horizontally, and find the top right corner of your column and join new yarn. So make a slip knot on your hook and insert the hook through the corner space and tuck the tail behind, and yarn over and pull through the loop. And you can crochet over the tail behind you, or you can weave it in at the end. Row 1 is chain 3 and double crochet in the same space, and 3 double crochets in the next space and in every space. And when you come to the place where you've joined 2 squares together in the corners, you will be making 3 double crochets in this corner and in this corner as well. So at the end of row 1, make 2 double crochets in the last space. Row 2 is chain 3 and turn. And now make 3 double crochets in the next space and in every space. And this is the space where we've made 3 double crochets in the corner spaces, and the space between these 2 clusters is a bit smaller, but nevertheless it's our space that we need to crochet into. So you end up with a cluster above this line where you joined 2 squares. And at the end of row 2, make a double crochet to the top of chain 3. Now you will need to repeat rows 1 and 2 for your size. So for example, so it will be 3 or 5 rows that you will need to make on this side of the sleeve. So for me, I'm a size medium, I need to add another row. So after you have 3 or 5 rows added, it's time to start shaping your sleeve. Row 3, all sizes are making this row, so it's chain 1 and turn, and single crochet in the same stitch. Now for the next 7 granny clusters, we'll be single crocheting in every stitch, including this 2 double crochet at the beginning, so 7 including this, and single crochet in every stitch. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, and now I've arrived to the at this space, so I'm making 3 half double crochets in the space below and the next space, and 3 double crochets in the next space and every space. So at the end of row 3, make a double crochet to the top of chain 3. Certain sizes will have to fasten off after every row. So for example, after row 3, sizes extra small, small and medium have to fasten off because they've reached the width wide enough for them. And everyone else turns, so chain 3 and turn, and double crochet in the same space. Now we're making 3 double crochets in the next space and every space until you have 5 granny clusters, including the 2 DC at the beginning. So 1 2 3 4 5. Now make 3 half double crochets in the next space, and again 3 half double crochets in the next space, and a single crochet in the next space. So after row 4, size large will fasten off here, and everyone else turns. Row 5 is chain 1 and turn. Skip crocheting in the same space in the next space and make a single crochet in the next space, in the next stitch. And now we've arrived to this space, so we're making 3 half double crochets in the space below and 3 half double crochets in the next space and 3 double crochets in the next space in every space, and end row 5 with a double crochet to the top of chain 3. Size extra large will fasten off here and everyone else turns. So row 6 is chain 3 and turn and double crochet in the same space, 3 double crochets in the next space twice, so this space and this space. Now 3 half double crochets in the next space and the next space, and a single crochet in the next space. And now sizes 2x and 3x will fasten off here and everyone else turns. So row 7 is chain 1 and turn and skip crocheting in the same stitch in the next stitch and make a single crochet in the next stitch and make 3 half double crochets in the space below and 3 half double crochets in the next space and 3 double crochets in the next space twice, so this and this, and double crochet to the top of chain 3 and fasten off. So after you've completed the rows for your size on one side of the column, and this is the shaping that's required for the 4x and 5x, and different sizes will have a slightly different looking sleeve. So then you turn your sleeve around and you flip it so you're facing the wrong side this time, and repeat the rows for your size, starting with joining yarn in the top right corner, and then again add to the width at 3 or 5 rows by repeating rows 1 and 2, and then begin the shaping rows for your size on this side to get your sleeve. Add some ribbing at the bottom of the cardigan first. I think I'll make 2 rows, so first row will be double crochets and the second row will be front post back post. So let's start at the bottom of your cardigan and find your, so turn it upside down and find your top right corner. This is the front of the cardigan where you're gonna start your ribbing and join new yarn. So let's start with chain 3. I'll maybe add another double crochet in the corner just to make the corner a bit more supple. And now I can begin making a double crochet for every double crochet in the granny clusters. When I run out of granny clusters, I think I'll make another double crochet in the corner space just to make it again more supple. And then when I get the rows of granny stitch, so I will make 2 double crochets for every post. So 2 double crochets in this row and 2 double crochets in the next row and all the rows. So again, I'm starting to crochet into the granny square, and I'm greeted with a corner, and I think I'll make another double crochet in the corner space, and then double crochet for every double crochet in the granny clusters. And where the two squares are joined together, I made double crochet for the corner spaces, and then I resumed again a double crochet for every double crochet in the granny stitch. So to finish row 1 of ribbing, I will make 2 double crochets in the corner space in the last space after the granny cluster. Now for the row 2 of ribbing, I will chain 2 and turn, and I will begin front post back post. Let's skip the first post and let's make a front post double crochet around the next post, and a back post double crochet around the next post, and repeat front post back post all the way down. When you have to add to your ribbing to make it taller, when you have to repeat row 2, simply chain 2 and ignore the first post below, but whatever ridge you have at the beginning, either front post, either sticking out to the front or to the back, you need to match that. So this, I need to make a front post around this to continue the ridge, and a back post around the one that's at the back away from us, so that I can continue these ridges up and down, up and down. So front post, back post. Okay, so once you have your 4 rows, I decided to have 4 rows of ribbing in the end. I think it looks very nice. You don't need to cut your yarn. You can go straight into making the ribbing for the side, for the front, and around the neck. I think it doesn't matter exactly from which side you're facing, the front or the back of the cardigan. So I'm just gonna face the back this time, out of convenience for not having to weave in too many ends. If I can avoid cutting the yarn, I will. So we're making first row of ribbing, which will be a row of double crochets. So let's make chain 3, and because this is a corner, so for the ribbing rows I will make 2 posts per row, but because this is the corner and this counts as a post, I will make 2 more, so 3 in the corner in total. I would like to add an additional post for corners, so 2 for every row of ribbing. And now I can see a corner of the granny square. I'm making a double crochet there, and I can see granny clusters, so I will be making a double crochet for every double crochet in the granny cluster. And once again I'm making another additional post for the corners where 2 granny squares were joined. So now I've reached the neck area, where this is the back of the cardigan and this is the front, and that's the shoulder. So the neck area, when it comes to crocheting into the back rectangle or the back granny squares of the cardigan, I think I will try and make double the amount of stitches that I would normally make. So for example, for every double crochet in the granny clusters, I will make 2 posts, because the neck area stretches a lot, and I'm trying to give it a bit more fabric. So I've added 2 rows of ribbing to the front. I think that looks good. And when it comes to the sleeves, I've actually joined new yarn to the tail from the sleeve so that I have less tails to weave in later. So the principles will be the same. I'm going to make 2, so I'm gonna chain 3, and I'm going to make another double crochet in this space, and then for every row I'm going to make 2 double crochets, 1 post in the corner, 1 post for every double crochet in the granny clusters. And when it comes to finishing the round, I know that in between these rows there are 2 rows of single crochet and the seam where we seam the sleeve. So just make whatever, maybe 3 double crochets into this space, whatever you think is right. So 1 for single crochet row, 1 for the seam, and 1 for the other single crochet row. And now we don't need to turn because it's a sleeve. We can continue in the round. So join with the slip stitch to the top of chain 3 and chain 2, and skipping the chain 3 from below, start making front post, back post, double crochets all the way around.